If I am on a video, that means I got calls about this and I need to clarify some things so you don't mess up your credit score. Okay? A 580 credit score will never have a better interest rate or better terms than a 700 credit score. Please pay your bills. Everybody that called me, pay your bills on time. Don't do what you were talking about doing. Okay? I hope you were just joking. All right, let's get into it. So, first thing you need to understand and what is a rate sheet? A rate sheet is when a certain credit score, a person like me with a credit score, putting down a certain down payment and a couple other factors, the mortgage companies give out a list of interest rates that this person can have. And this list of interest rates vary based on cost. Okay. If you look over here, oh, one thing to know, these are not real interest rates. These are not the real cost of interest rates. I just wanted you to get the concept. Okay. This is just a concept I need you to understand. Back to my presentation. Okay. So a 580 credit score will get a rate sheet saying you can get a 6.4 and you have to pay $40 towards closing to get it. Or you can get a 6.0 and you can pay an extra $200 towards closing. Or you can get a 5.3 and pay an extra $1,200 towards closing. That's a rate sheet. You have options. It's just as the interest rate goes lower, you have to pay more money. Now, same thing for the 700 credit score. They have a rate sheet too. They get $800 back towards closing for taking a 6.4, or they can get a lower interest rate. They can get a 6.0 and only get $100 back. Okay. As you see, the better the interest rate, the less money they get back, or the more money they have to pay towards closing. See, 5.3, they have to pay $200, where the 580 has to pay $1,200. Now, the concept is Biden threw on a tax to the higher credit scores. So in my mind, I call it a tax. He put a tax on the higher credit scores to make the lower credit scores have a slightly less closing costs or get slightly better interest rates. But it is slightly better than they could before. It is not as good as 700 credit score. Okay. Now let's look at after a 580 credit score. They no longer have to pay $40 to get that 6.4. Okay? They no longer have to do that. They no longer have to pay $200 to get that 6.0. They no longer have to pay $630. I mean, they no longer have to pay $1,200 in order to get that 5.3. So their cost for the interest rates got slightly better. Okay? They got slightly better. You see that? Before, after. 580 credit score, 40, now it's 0. 6.0 was 200, now it's 100. On the reverse side, the 700 credit score got slightly worse. They got slightly worse, but it's still better than a 580 credit score. You see, before the 700 credit score with a 6.4 was getting back $600. I mean, was getting $800 at closing. Now they're only getting $600. Before they were getting $100 back towards closing. Now they have to pay $20. That 5.3 used to cost $200. Now it costs $360. That 4.5 used to cost $1,200. Now it costs $2,200. You see, all they did was add a tax to the 700 credit scores. Now, if you compare the two, the 700 credit score is still getting a better deal. It's just that they added a tax, so the 700 credit score is not getting as good a deal as it did before Biden stuck his hand in there and added a little tax. He did it like this. He threw a little tax on there like that, the little salt. He seasoned the credit scores a little bit. Okay? So this is what's going on with the interest rate rules. Once again, I want to let you know these are not real interest rates. These are not the real cost for interest rates. This is just so you can see the concept of what is happening. Do not call me asking for a 4.5 interest rate for $2,600. or $1,800 or 22. It's nowhere near that. I just wanted to use simple numbers and basic numbers for you to understand the concept of how they added a slight tax to the higher credit scores in order to make the lower credit scores get a slightly better deal. But if you had to choose, you would still want a 700 credit score. Pay your bills. Don't let media or all these people that don't know what they're talking about get you to not pay your bills and mess up your life. If you have further questions, reach out to me. DM me, text me, call me, whatever you got to do. Send a bat signal. I don't care. Just get in contact with me so you don't mess up your future. All right? Hopefully, this helped out. Hopefully, you get the concept and hopefully, it eases your brain some. All right? Oh, and by the way, they do this type of stuff all the time. It's usually just not Biden doing it. They always add little levels and little adjustments into the pricing. You just never hear about it. All right. So have a good rest of your day. Let me know if you need something. And as always, express yourself with Express Realty and Lending.